All right, everyone. Welcome. We are delighted to meet you today and present to you one of the most exciting solutions that we have developed in 19 labs, and we believe it has a huge impact on telemedicine. And with me are two of my friends, colleagues that we work closely with, Ron and Shelley. Ron, you want to introduce yourself?
No, sure. First of all, it's just a real pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me, Ram, and the rest of the 19 Labs team. I'm Ron Emerson. I'm the global healthcare lead at Zoom, and just some of my background. I have a real passion for this subject. Early in my career, over 20 years ago, I used to run a telehealth network in Maine, but I started out as a nurse and as a clinician, as a nurse, and I'm still a nurse, but presenting patients and then working with clinicians and patients in both sides on how we can help streamline the workflow. And it's just amazing when I see solutions like we're going to see today, how far we've actually come within the industry to make things easier and more like traditional practice. So just good to be here. And thank you, Ram, for inviting me.
Thanks for joining. And Shelley?
Sure. My name is Shelley Cooper. I work with Intermountain Healthcare as a program development manager over the school-based telehealth program. My background, I've been with Intermountain over the past, off and on over the past 8 years, the last year and a half working on this program. I do have a background in nursing, so I am a nurse, background with school nursing, clinical, surgical services, and care management. I also have a master's in public health from Brigham Young University, and I am pretty passionate about this program, given my background in school nursing, and hoping to get access to healthcare for all of those students who are in the school system. So happy to be here.
Delighted to have you.
All right, Ram. So we did our introduction. So what are we here for today to learn about?
Well, we are here because it takes two to tango. And in the telemedicine and telehealth industries, there's a lot of discussion about the patient experience. And when we started the company, we felt that we really need to focus on both sides of the experience, both the clinicians and the patients. So 2015, when we started the company and tried to envision what should be the best experience for the patient, we had some work done on that, but we also tried to envision what would be the best experience for the clinicians. And this is actually taken from one of our patents. This is the original patent application. And when we thought about it, we said, you know, telemedicine for a clinician should be as simple as taking a phone or a tablet, looking at it, seeing the patient details, seeing the clinical signs, seeing where they are. No other software, no tabs, make it simple and easy to use for the clinician. Except that there was a small problem. We were ahead of the technology. This is 2015. We had to wait a couple of years, and about a year ago, Zoom came up with some new capabilities in the development ISV program. And we had a big smile because that's what we were always waiting for. And about 2 weeks ago, we announced in our latest software release of GALE, the feature we call InsightsAR, which brings augmented reality for the clinician. The idea is very simple. Directly from the patient, we take all of the patient information that we have on the patient tablet, computer, phone, and we combine it visually with the patient video. And we take this combined video with the information and the patient and basically give it to Zoom. Zoom does its magic encrypts it and sends it directly into the clinician as a regular video call. So the clinician, all they need to do is join a Zoom video call, and all of the medical information, the healthcare information, is directly accessible to them and controlled by them directly from Zoom. And we'll show you some of those details in the next few slides. The other part is, let's make it easy for the clinician on how to start a Zoom call. So what can be as simple as we can. You can go on a computer, you can sit on your phone or tablet, you get a message sent to you through whatever medium you prefer, from SMS to WhatsApp, with a link, secure link, with all the session and the security embedded in it, and you go directly into a video call. And this is the idea behind InsightsAR. So now let's show you what happens when you go into a video call. You are now looking at a patient, Jennifer Michaels. Obviously, the names and some of the health information is, we had to use fictitious one for privacy reasons. But you can see that everything you need to know is in front of you. I can look, imagine I'm the clinician treating her, or imagine you being the clinician. You are looking at Jennifer, and while looking at her, you see her age, you see how much she weighs, you see where she is from all the different locations that you are serving. I can see that she is allergic to shellfish, medication, conditions. Everything is in front of me, and I know she's here because she's been having some fever and headache symptoms for the last 3 days. Again, didn't have to do anything more than join a regular Zoom video call, no software now download, no enabling anything else. Everything has been secured, I'm authenticated, and it's all presented to me. Now, let's say that I want to see the pulse ox. I start the chat, and once I'm in the chat, I go ox start for pulse ox. And immediately on the left, you can now start seeing the pulse ox start streaming the information live. I can wait a little bit to see that she's not moving her hand anymore, and we can get the live information from the vital signs, pulse rate, PI index, 99% oxygen, again, as convenient as we can. And we are going to support every diagnostic device. Cameras, ultrasound, stethoscope will be easily accessible through here. And when we are done, we type pulse ox stop, and we go back into the regular screen. Everything done within a single Zoom experience, simple, easy to use, and the most important part, I can really focus on the patient. I can look her at the eyes. I don't have to go look for different tabs, different programs, find the EMR, switch to get the allergies. It's all in front of the clinician to make it easy to use. Now let's keep on going. So before we get to the takeaways, Shelley, any thoughts or questions, and can you tell the participants a bit about the program and how that fits into what you're doing on schools?
Sure. So as I said, I'm working with, Intermountain is working with school districts in Utah, and each school district can use these GALE devices. It's customizable to each school district. So we are placing the GALE units in each of the schools within the school district. And these GALE units they have e-clinics on them, and the e-clinics can connect the school to the school nurse directly, or there's an opt-in portion of the program that can have an e-clinic that can connect providers to the students, to the schools, the students right there. One of the important to note that Intermountain is only one of the providers that is on the GALE unit that students and families can connect to. So that's a really key aspect of this program. Also, when a student presents to the nurse at the school, if the nurse is present, the nurse will decide if a telemedicine visit is needed, and we verify that there is a consent on file, and then they can connect directly to a provider while they're at school. So this is really helpful to be able to have students get care immediately. They can also have prescriptions called in, but also parents can join the call as well. So it can be just as a regular visit. So the parents don't have to leave work and their student can get care right then and just have it be immediately available. As we've been training all of the providers, we do acute care right now with the schools through Connect Care, and all the providers have been trained on the Zoom process and with the overlay feature as well. So that's how we're using this.
One of the points you mentioned that is a separate capability of GALE, and be glad to talk about it later on if anybody is interested, is the ability to do three-way calling. And we are relying here on what's called the Zoom phone feature and the callouts that allows us to do a seamless transition. A nurse or the school secretary, while they talk over video, can invite the parent to join. Parent join initially over a voice call and then can transition automatically, seamlessly into a video call. And we absolutely love this API that Zoom enabled us to do that. Thanks, Shelley. This was really good to hear, and we're really excited about the program and expanding it. Ron, what's your thoughts?
No, I appreciate it. And Shelley, it's exciting. There's such a need in schools for just higher level of care, as you know, we've seen schools, of course, as you know, better than most really become providers in some senses, mental health and others. So it's great to see you doing such a good program. You know, from my perspective, it's, you know, having been in telehealth for so long, it's just so exciting to see an organization really to fully utilize Zoom's APIs and SDK capabilities for true workflow integration. You know, one of the things that's been a question mark, and to your point, Ram, earlier, is can telehealth be as efficient as traditional in-person visits? Does it take longer for a telehealth visit than it does for an in-person visit? And I just had that question the other day by a country, a healthcare CIO for a public health system for an entire country. Their providers are a little reluctant. And, you know, research has already shown that they can actually be shorter because some of the small talk, but what you've done here just really even provides more efficiency, where they're not jumping from platform to platform trying to get relevant information that is needed to be able to provide the actual consult. And I think that's what's key. And, you know, what we're really finding, to your point, is how do we, for providers and others, how do we really integrate that workflow into the best of our ability, mimic what healthcare professionals do on a day-to-day basis. And I think that you've done a great job here doing that. So it's good.
Thank you. Yeah, and you know, as most of you know, we have deployments throughout rural communities in Latin America. And one of the exciting things was to see how the clinicians in Latin America have embraced it very, very quickly. Like within days of launching the feature, it's already been in use, and very, very positive feedback from the clinicians about how it helps them improve the care.
Well, just to add on that, Ram, and it's you know, globally, but it's also just a very smart move, because, you know, just in the United States alone, you know, Zoom has over 45,000 business associate agreements. That shows you the penetration, and Zoom was actually the #1 downloaded app a few years ago. And, so there's a lot of familiarity with the actual solution. So the way that you've done this, that allows people to capitalize on the familiarity of how they've used, and Shelley, you're seeing a real example of that, of course, in the school system, but what they're used to using, which is a traditional Zoom platform, then have all that functionality for telehealth sort of integrated along that same line. So it's just a good fit together.
Absolutely, and we are very excited to see how Zoom has been, in more and more organizations have been expanding the Zoom usage, and not just internally for conferencing, but starting to see it being used more for healthcare. How's your experience? We see it from the outside. How do you see it happening within some of your customers?
Yeah, I think the key thing for Zoom and for healthcare customers, both on the patient and the other side, is, as I said a little bit ago, is really how do we mimic what healthcare professionals are doing, and have the data through one sort of unified interface, right? But still have connectivity to the electronic medical record, right? And one of the things that I think is important is that there's just really no need for any other separate telehealth software when they're using 19 labs and Zoom together, because of the integration capabilities into the current electronic health record, and then the medical diagnostic technologies, and then the high-end video that you receive from the Zoom piece of it.
Let me try to summarize what I think, synthesize what we have been talking about. What we have seen here is a very different approach to how you bring the information into the clinician. Traditionally, it's been, I have an EMR program I run on my computer. I might have some other software to deal with different diagnostic devices, and different devices might have, each one have its own, web interface for stethoscope, web interface for camera. These things ended up coming, and each one have its own territory. What we have seen here, and that's what we kind of tried to put in the takeaway slides, is a new kind of a unified experience in which we bring the EMR world, Cerner, Epic, Athena, together with the medical device companies realm, and Zoom into a unified, seamless experience. And we do it in a fully secure way. Keep doing all of the combination of those three separate worlds on the patient side, and then just getting a securely encrypted end-to-end video into the patient. And that's something we are really excited about. I want to open it up for any questions for the audience, if we have any. Good, so we have a couple of questions on the chat. Let me see. And some question in the Q&A. Let's start with the QA, Justin. Will there be capability for live ECG or stethoscope monitoring? Yes, we support different stethoscopes, and we support different EKGs, and the ability to do those is coming soon.
And Ron, just to add on that, I think that's so important and just so exciting as we look at the whole decentralization of healthcare for diagnostic, but especially as we look at, hospital at home and other applications like that. This is really a great fit, right? To be able to do the real-time sort of live feeds to clinicians, but also be able to do it at different times to gather information, biometric data.
Kirk is asking about the payer perspective, eligibility, especially I think he's asking about the school systems. Shelley, you want to take this one? How do you deal with the payers? So Kirk is asking, how do you deal with the payer perspective? Do you payment? Do you collect the school key, privacy issues, medical record? Can you expand a little bit about that?
Yes, sure. So with our specific setup, we do Intermountain will bill insurances as if students have insurance companies, insurance coverage, sorry. And that includes all payers. And then we do have a different system for those that may need financial assistance. They can fill out a financial assistance form, and there's that key help as well for those students that need it.
Thank you. Casey is asking about the confidentiality. And this is a huge, critically important topic in here. Part of our approach as a company has been what we call the anti-cloud. There is no healthcare information that we store in the cloud. The demonstration you have seen right now has been directly from the patient, where the healthcare information resides during the video call, directly into the doctor. The healthcare information from the patient tablet or phone is coming either from the EMR system directly using FHIR, or from local diagnostic devices that are connected to the patient tablet. And in the end of the visit, we either upload it back into the health system EMR, or we delete it, depending on the different deployments and what our customers prefer to do. But one of the underlying principles for us as a company is that we see ourselves as the guardians for healthcare data. We are not here to monetize it. We are not here to keep it. Healthcare data belongs with the healthcare provider or the patient, and that's been our approach since we started. And a lot of our IP, like the demonstration you've seen earlier, is all based around that approach. Let's see what other question. Here's the one for you, Ron. Joe Martinez is saying, since Zoom is based in China, are there any confidentiality issues?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, the first thing, Joe, that's a rumor that has actually started. Zoom is actually a US-based company. Zoom's headquarters is out of San Jose. Zoom has 19 co-located data centers around the world, and China just happens to be one of them. Whenever you're in the US and you use Zoom, your data is automatically defaulted to run through US servers. And you can even choose which servers you want your information to run through, and China is not one of those choices. So that's something that we've had to fight for a while. Our founder and CEO moved to the United States, I believe, when he was 19 years old, from China. But he's an American citizen. So 1000% Zoom is a US-based company out of San Jose on the NASDAQ publicly traded market. But thank you for the question.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing story. You know, I know Eric, and the story of how he looked at WebEx, realized there is an absolutely better experience, better vision. Venture was not sure about this and were hesitant, and he went against the odds and built Zoom from the ground up. Is an amazing American innovation story. So the rumor around China has been spread, and you can guess by whom, but Zoom is an American company. Somebody just asked to clarify about Stethoscope. We already support Stethoscope and 12-lead EKG today. We have the Echo Stethoscopes, and we have the QT Medical, and more are coming. What specifically we are adding now is the ability to control and use them directly through the Zoom video calls, and that's being added right now. Yes, it can run through a LAN connection. It's a regular Android tablet running our software. And to Kirk's question, we are a software company that we license into healthcare provider. We do not diagnose. We let the healthcare group do the diagnostics, decide if they need a 911 or not 911. We provide the technology to enable healthcare organization to be more efficient and provide better care to more people. So the decision, 911, chat flows, things like this, would love to get more into those details, but this is really the expertise of our customers, being the healthcare providers. Let's see if there are any other questions. Again, Casey, similar thing. This is really left to the healthcare providers, and we can talk offline and explain and give you some examples about different organizations and how they have used it. One example that I know in one of the schools in Utah is that even without a video call, somebody looked sick, they put a pulse ox, they went to the GALE clinic, took the pulse ox, went to the kid, put it on, noticed the oxygen level was 83, and within 15 minutes, the kid was in the ER.
Hey, Ron, this is a really interesting question, which I think a lot of folks are going to want to know, and I know the good doctor who's asking it. What about customization of data displayed depending on the specialty? Because I think that's big as a, in regards to, it's not a one size fit all, but, you can display different things as needed, correct?
Absolutely. And, this is the first step in a journey that we believe will be the long-term vision. So if you ask me, what would the experience look 5 years from now or 2 years from now for a clinician? This is nothing like what you see from anybody else. It will be a single video call, all the information done using augmented reality, dynamically arranged based on what specialty the doctor is, what diagnostic devices are available, what are the cases, automatically using AI to highlight the different areas that you need to pay attention to, and letting the clinician focus on what they do best is synthesize all of those things to create a differential diagnostics. And we believe that the technology can really create a better experience here. What we are showing you today is the first step toward this vision. Trying to see any of the other questions. Kathleen is asking if the pulse ox is sent directly to patient chart in Epic. That's absolutely possible. If we do the FHIR integration, it goes directly from the patient tablet directly into the back-end EMR system. Trying to see if there are any other questions. Do you see anything else I missed, Ron or Shelley? Which EMR system we support? FHIR. We love FHIR. Yeah, and FHIR right now means Cerner, means Epic. We work with the different customers to create the integration. And every customer has specific needs when they talk about integration. It means slightly different things to different people. Zoom is already integrated from some of them, and maybe Ron, you can talk also about your integration work with the EMRs.
Yeah, and just one question. I want to make sure that we cover this one because Boyd's asked it a couple of times. What is the setup time? I know that's always something from an IT perspective folks are concerned about is what does it actually take? What's been your experience as far as setup time, as far as getting things where it's up and running for the providers?
We can start a provider, and I'm flying to Guyana, where we're working with the health minister in Guyana. I'm flying to Guyana next week. Everything from beginning to end to, doing the training, both for the local community health leaders as well as the clinician. It's a week to 2 weeks to get it done. We usually find it's more dependent on the healthcare organization and how they work. The IT, the firewall, privacy, security, we already have all of those certified and done. So the onboarding process of new customers is relatively very quick.
And Boyd, there's and just having experience with that myself, of course, Zoom is integrated into Epic and Cerner, and there's two sides of that, right? It's also how you as the customer can get the EHR company to work with the organization to do the integration, right? So that's the EMR component of this, but they have everything they need. 19 Labs does, but it also depends on the attentiveness of the EHR and your internal staff to get that moving.
Joe is asking about Native American tribes. Would love to talk to you about it one-on-one. There's a huge opportunity over there. We have a couple of discussions. Would like to hear more about your perspective about the Native Americans. That's something that be glad to discuss. Let me see any other questions I might have missed. What if you do not have an MRN for the patient? This is actually probably an interesting question for Shelley, because we get kids in the schools who might not have an MRN. So this is something, Shelley, you want to talk about?
Sure. So our process is that as the school nurse, they collect health insurance information. And as they start a visit with our Connect Care providers, we have patient service representatives that go in and they have to create an encounter for those students who may not already have an encounter, but the school nurse would have that information and have the permission of the parent to be able to do that.
Two other questions. Thank you, Shelley. Two other questions. Somebody is asking about what about countries that have data privacy laws? That's very strict, the data must stay. And again, because the healthcare data stays on the tablet with the patient, that's in country, the clinician is in country. So I think we have a unique solution here that really addresses those. And, you know, some of those countries that have the strictest rules around those are actually Gulf countries like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and more. And we actually been certified and have deployments in, for example, the biggest pharmacy chain in Saudi Arabia. And a few people are asking about using it in teaching telehealth in their university with students. Again, we'll be delighted. Kirk will reach out and we can talk offline how we can support you. In Case Western University, the School of Nursing has been using this to teach nursing telehealth. If you don't know, the origin of the name of the company is coming from Florence Nightingale, which is why the product is named GALE and the company is called 19 Labs. So yes, we are very excited about using GALE in the education system as nurses learn about how to use the technology. I think we are good now on the questions. So I just wanted to thank you, Ron and Shelley. We're delighted to have you on board with us on this journey. And as somebody asked, this is the first step toward really creating a clinician experience that enables smart and effective and intimate healthcare over hundreds of miles away and Zoom. So let's take the first step in this journey. Thank you all and looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you, Ram. Thank you, Shelley.
Thank you, Ram. Thanks, Ron.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. All right. Bye-bye.